Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news updates, debates and my opinions. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. We're on the way to 12,800 subscribers. We're like 23 away. So at this point, if you're looking at it and you're not subscribed and you're not clicking subscribe, I can only assume you're a Tottenham fan. If you could click the like on the video as well, that would be fantastic. We've got Arteta's pre-match press conference ahead of Preston tomorrow, the Carabao Cup game. But for me, obviously, it's more important, actually, what we're looking like going into the game on Saturday against Newcastle, that lunchtime kickoff. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about what the lineup should be tomorrow night, which I think is quite interesting. Couple of bits of interesting transfer gossip to talk about as well. And there's loads of you here. Pekka, Lord Ferguson of Aberdeen, Jakob, Junior Films, Logical Nonsense, Icarus, Hyper, Sam Kenny, Carter, Emilio, Saliba, Guno, Omar, Joshua, Ollie Hughes, Alex Johnson, Ethan Udall, Mayo, Fizzy, Ross Lawman, Anu Brata, and many, many more. It is good to see you all. I just know Jared Gillett cheered at Paul's second goal. Yeah, we'll talk about that as well. Jared Gillett will be on VAR for Arsenal versus Newcastle United. That is the fourth time in 10 Premier League games that Jared Gillett has either been the referee or the VAR for an Arsenal game this season. That's 40% of our season so far, where a Liverpool fan has been in charge. That is not a coincidence, and it is a joke. And people say, oh, you're crying already, you're making excuses already. I'm not. But it is a joke that a Liverpool fan, whilst Arsenal at the moment look like they'll be in a title race with Liverpool, it is a joke that a Liverpool fan would be on VAR or the referee for 40% of Arsenal's games. If we get to the end of the season, let's say Man City do get a massive points deduction or something like that, and it ends up being Arsenal v Liverpool, and Liverpool beat us by a point, and you look back and you go 40% of Arsenal's games were refereed by a Liverpool fan, and they lost by a point. Like, it's a big, big problem. It has to be deliberate. It has to be deliberate. What about the injury update for all the players? We'll get into that, Noble. Don't worry. We will get into the injury updates on the players. We'll go through Arteta's press conference. It feels like the PGMOL do it on purpose to create drama and even more attention on the game. Well, that's the thing, right? Take everything, take any biases, anything out of it that you like. Look at this purely from the perspective of PGMOL is a private company, right? It is a private company. It has shareholders. It has to perform well. Any private company, when you make decisions, you look at how that decision will affect the company internally, but you also look at the optics, right? How is this going to go down with the wider public? There is no way they've looked at the optics and thought that of all of the referees that could have been VAR for a game which was a really controversial game last season, the one where Arteta came out calling PGMOL a disgrace, and then he embarrassed them when it went to a hearing and he was found to have done nothing wrong, right? To have a Liverpool fan who 2 weeks ago was making loads of headlines for sending an Arsenal player off when they were playing Liverpool in the next game, to have that same man involved again, when you could have picked any of the others. You're sat there at a table, right? You're sat there at the table, you go, right, we need a VAR for the Arsenal game. You got a list of 20-odd referees. The one name on that list that you would probably cross off and say, yeah, probably not him, is Jared Gillett. And yet here he is. So I think it's a joke. Why the F are there only 30 likes so far? I don't know. If you've not clicked the like button yet, there's 120 of you in here. If you've not clicked the like button, yeah, Nate, what's wrong with you? Why are you miserable? Why? Are there any youngsters you want to play against Preston besides Wanarium MLS? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about it. Starts with Howard Webb. The guy thinks he's a celebrity. Revamp the PGMOL. 100%. 100%. PGMOL needs scrapping, and it has done for a long, long time. We've said this before. VAR should be taken away from PGMOL anyway. VAR does not need or rely on actual referees, right? VAR should be and could be specialized people that are specialized in the laws to do VAR exclusively. And they are not friends with the current referees. Because, for example, you know, that penalty against Manchester United at the weekend, right? That fundamentally comes down to them being friends. Michael Oliver calls David Coote over to the monitor. Well, Michael Oliver looks like an absolute idiot if David Coote doesn't overturn it and give the penalty. So he's got that pressure to protect his mate, old Oliver, right? So there's big problems. There's big problems, and yeah, all of them need to be sorted. I didn't know PGMOL was a private company. I always thought refereeing bodies are subordinates of the full. No, they're a private company. It is a private company, which is ridiculous. But the issue is, unlike any other private company, like they're a private company, but they've got a complete monopoly. So it's a private company, but you couldn't get rid of them and then bring in another company because they've got the referees. So it's a ridiculous situation to be in. Have you seen that Gillett's given 26 yellow cards in 4 Prem games this season? Yeah, no, I hadn't seen that, but brilliant. And in this game, I mean, luckily he's the VAR, not the on-field ref. But when they were calling themselves nicknames over VAR during the Luis Diaz offside mistake, I knew they weren't fit for purpose. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time talking about that, so we will move on. We'll move on to the pre-match press conference. On the injuries, they kicked straight off with the injuries, which is good. On Gabriel, after his knee injury, we are still assessing him, but it doesn't look bad at all. He was much better than expected, so hopefully he'll be fine. So there's a suggestion that maybe it's not even anything for Gabriel. Maybe it was just like a dead knee, or you know, he got caught because it looked like Gabriel was feeling above his knee. So maybe he did just take a knock above his knee, and it was kind of like a dead knee / dead leg type thing. But he's had some tests, and yeah, they've said that it doesn't seem like he's too bad. On Jurrien Timber, he's fine. He was very tired. He'd been out for a while and could not continue the game, but there was no new injury there. And then if it was cramp, it was just he could not continue, so we decided to make a very safe call. So again, Jurrien Timber is probably going to be absolutely fine to play against Newcastle. I think I saw that he'd only actually had 1 training session before the Liverpool game, which is insane. And probably why he was so knackered. But what a shift he put in to deal with Mohamed Salah when he was on. The less ideal one is Ricardo Calafiori. He's going to be out for a few weeks, according to Mikel Arteta, which means it was probably a grade 2 MCL. Again, according to Physio Scout, they think it was probably a grade 2 MCL, which is anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. Ideally, you'd be looking at him coming back after the international break. You know, that still gives him over 3 weeks, and he's already had a week. So we'll see. William Saliba coming back from suspension. I'll decide that when you see the team. I guess he's talking about tomorrow. I guess he's talking about whether or not Saliba's going to play against Preston. On what he's got to weigh up for that decision, the same as for the rest, how we get the strongest team we possibly can to win the game. Obviously, whilst resting the players that need rest. Martin Odegaard's availability. He's been on grass for a few weeks, but there are still a few boxes to tick. How fast we can do that last stage of the rehab is a question we have to answer when we have players around and he starts competing with the team, something he hasn't done yet. So, again, you know, Odegaard's been doing physical work out on the grass, not necessarily any contact work yet, but on if he'll be back before the international break. Hopefully, yes, but we'll have to see how things go. So, I don't think he'll come back against Newcastle. I think Newcastle is such a physical game anyway that like it would be a brave game to bring him back into if you're kind of risking his injury again. For me, if he can play either Inter or Chelsea, that's a bonus. And if he can't, then you know he's not going to go on the international break. I wouldn't have thought, and he'll be good to go after the international break. So there you go. In terms of the general injury news, I think most of that is pretty good. Kala, Zinni, Timber, all our left-back options, barring Jakub, are injury-prone. I disagree. Calafiori's been unlucky. He had 1 horrific knee injury back in the day, and he's had a bit of an injury so far. Zinchenko, I agree. Timber, again, 1 very, very unfortunate ACL injury, which can happen to anyone. And since then, he's not been injured. You know, he's not injured now. He got cramp. So I don't think there's proof so far that Timber is injury prone. All right, he got a bit of a muscle injury. That is incredibly, incredibly normal for people coming back from ACL injuries. Anyone that's coming from like a 12-month layoff, it's very normal for them to pick up muscular injuries in the first couple of seasons back as they get back up to the level that they were at. What a goal from Saka. It was a brilliant goal from Saka. It was. Elsewhere on this thing, he talks about Erik ten Hag getting sacked. Don't really care about that. Balancing the need to win with protecting first-team players. He said, we will try to find the right balance. As you said, we have very demanding matches now in different competitions. We want to win them all, and we have to start tomorrow to get momentum again, and we'll put a strong team out. So that's the key. We'll put a strong team out. Now, there's two ways of looking at this, right? One is he's saying we'll put a strong team out. We're going to put a strong team out. Okay? Well done. But Arteta will have you believe, and he believes himself, every single Arsenal player, if they start, is a strong team. So I don't think that necessarily means it's going to be like a super strong team. He was then asked a bunch of other things. Yada, yada, yada. Zinchenko's role in the squad. Now, we spoke about this yesterday, didn't we? About Zinchenko, effectively at this point being the 9th choice defender. Those decisions are always difficult to make. You make them with only the intention to get the result with the performance that you want. But Alex has already proven for many years something that he has to do, and he has the ability to do it. Didn't really answer the question. Kieran Tierney getting closer to a return. I think he's quite close. He's looking really good. I think he's over the period where he was still struggling, so he looks really sharp out there. He hasn't trained with the team yet, but hopefully he can do that in the next week or two. So Kieran Tierney might be fit after the international break, which would be, generally speaking, we shouldn't really need him at all. But given the recent injuries we've had, potentially. There's some more stuff there, of course. If you want to go and read it yourself, feel free. It's on the Arsenal website. But yeah, overall, I think we should be relatively happy with that press conference and with what it means. I still think Big Gabby is going to be out of the Newcastle game. And if he is not involved, that will be the biggest blow in terms of injuries this season. I agree. I agree. I don't think Gabby will be in the Newcastle game. But if Timber is there, if Timber's there for the Newcastle game, I think we're all right. Because if Timber's there and don't get me wrong, losing Gabriel is a big, big blow. But the back four could be against Newcastle. Partey at right back, which after his performance last weekend, I really don't actually mind at this point. So Partey at right back. I'd then have Ben White at right centre back. Saliba at left centre back, which he doesn't do much for us, but he's done it for France. So he does have recent experience of playing at left centre back, and then Timber at left back again. And for me, that back four should still be good enough to beat Newcastle. You've then got Rice, Marino, probably Trossard, and then Saka, Martinelli, Havertz, or whatever you want the front three to be, but that's what I go for. So overall, I still think that would be more than enough to beat Newcastle. I don't think Newcastle are great at the moment. They do, for whatever reason, seem to have a real issue with Arsenal, and they seem to really try a lot harder when they play against Arsenal. But yeah, I think Gabriel would missing would be unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Big Gabby's always been ever present between him and Saliba. He's more replaceable than Willow. I think it's difficult to replace him, but I feel like people aren't hyping up Ben White's performance enough. He hasn't played centre back in 2 years, and to come in and not put a foot wrong is incredible. Oh, mate, Ben White was brilliant. Because I completely agree. Firstly, Darwin Nunez is a difficult player to deal with. Defensively, he was rock solid. The ball through for Saka, excellent. I completely agree. People should be. Didn't mean to do that. What the hell? Right, now I want to bring up the. What I actually want to bring up is not this, but bear with me. I want to bring up the lineup we had against Bolton. And you'll understand why. So in terms of the lineup that we go for tomorrow, right? This was the lineup that played against Bolton. Porter in goal. Could play again. It could also be Neto. It could also be Setford. Nichols at right back. I would do that again. Kivior right centre-back. I'd probably go Saliba. Calafiori can't play. So you could go Kivior left centre-back in case he does need to play again against Newcastle. And I would go Lewis Skelly at left back. Nwaneri I would play. Jorginho I would play. Declan Rice, again, you could probably play him and take him off after an hour. Saka, I would not play. Jesus, I would. Sterling, I would. And then you'd maybe have to find another. Maybe actually I'll play Sterling off the right, Jesus, and Trossard. That's probably what I would go for. I think Martinelli could do with a break. If you've noticed, Martinelli's, you don't notice it too much because of his socks. Martinelli still has heavy strapping on his right calf, which was the issue that he had in Brazil. So I probably wouldn't play Martinelli. So yeah, Jesus through the middle. I mean, you could potentially play Kai Havertz again. I'm excited to see what Setford is about. Oh, yeah, sorry. Neto can't play because he's cup tied. Yeah, ignore me. So, yeah, Setford in goal or Raya. I mean, to be honest, with goalkeepers, I don't really care. It could be Raya. You know, it could be Raya. I wouldn't play Rice Saka. Yeah, but the problem is if Rice doesn't play, there's no like who else plays? You could maybe play Lewis Skelly in midfield and Zinchenko at left back. That could be an option. Yeah. What are your views on our scouting team? We haven't found any good young attackers in the recent past. It's very concerning that people like Esteval weren't in our shortlist at all. Yeah, but you don't know if Esteval wasn't in our shortlists or if Arsenal didn't want to go and pay whatever it was, 40 million for a 15-year-old. It's very difficult. The scouting world these days is very, very difficult because teams are going out and spending, tens of millions of pounds on 14, 15-year-old kids. Remember we bought Martinelli for 7 million? Yeah, but that was for every Martinelli, there are 10 Marquinhos. That's the reality. So I'm not too bothered about it. I'd rather focus on our academy anyway. Get the likes up. What the heck, chat? Yeah, if you could like the video, that would be sensacionale. We ain't paying big money for a 15-year-old. Yeah, not at the moment. And if we are, by the way, if we're going to spend a lot of money on a 15-year-old, do you know who it's going to be? It's going to be Ethan Nwaneri. We're going to use the money to keep players like Ethan Nwaneri. We're going to use the money to keep someone like Max Dowman, rather than going out and throwing the money at someone that we don't actually know how good they can be. So that would be my team. So a mixture, I think, of strong and academy. I think if you've got a spine of like Saliba, Rice, and then a solid front three, it should be enough. I'm so excited for after the next international break where things won't be a stop-start and we can hopefully won't have as many injuries and we can just go on a massive run and enjoy our football. Completely agree. After the next international break, it is just football fever, which I am very much looking forward to. The player we just signed from Millwall is a top baller, 15-year-old attacker. Yeah, there you go. I don't know what the finances involved in that were, but again, Well, we also signed, didn't we sign that kid from Wolves as well in the summer? 16-year-old from Wolves that we brought in. So we are doing things. It's just maybe it's not as glamorous, right, as buying a 15-year-old Brazilian kid. So what do you think it means for Sterling that Nwaneri came on instead of him against Liverpool? I think it means that Arteta is well aware that Nwaneri is the future and Sterling won't be. That's what I think. I think at this point, I think, truthfully, Arteta has seen the drop off from Sterling at City to what Sterling is now. Listen, I'm not hating on Sterling here. I'm not saying that he can't be a useful tool for us, but I think Arteta brought in Sterling thinking back to the Raheem Sterling that he trained at City. And I don't think that Sterling is the same Sterling now. And I think based on that, Arteta's probably got no interest in signing him permanently next summer or before next summer. And I think, therefore, you've got to start focusing on developing players like Nwaneri. What happened to Amari Hutchinson? All the outcry when we let him go. I haven't heard his name again. They're in the Prem. Yeah, I don't even know if Hutchinson's been playing, to be fair. Has Hutchinson been playing much? Yeah, he has been, to be fair. He has been playing. Well, no, he hasn't played since. I don't know if he's injured now. He played 90 minutes against Everton. No, he was. He was playing. He was playing. Think Arteta doesn't rate Sterling for not tracking back enough. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I mean, he also didn't bring Waneri on the wing, did he? He brought Waneri on in the midfield. He brought Jesus onto the right wing. So it could be to do with that. Do you think Sunderland go up this season? Yeah, they've got a good chance, actually. They've got a good chance. Hoping we get our best team after the international break and go on a good run of form. I hope so too. Anyway, so yeah, that's the team that I would use for the Preston game. The injury news is looking pretty good. Interesting couple of bits of transfer speculation. Now, this is speculation. One of them's coming from Plettigol, and one of them is coming from Alex Crook for TalkSport. So, make of that what you will. Jake is in the chat. How are you? Haven't caught a YouTube stream in ages. Well, Jake, it's good to see you back. I think the issue with the players leaving was more us missing out on big transfer fees. Yeah, I agree. The first bit, though, from Plettigol, Victor Gyökeres. Arsenal are especially interested in Victor Gyökeres. It is very likely that the striker will leave Sporting next summer, and he has an agreement to exit for between 60 and 70 million euros. Arsenal are joined by Man City, Liverpool, and Chelsea in their interest. Now, that 60 to 70 million euros is a big drop from the 85 million pound release clause that is in his contract. So 60 to 70 million euros, you're talking, whatever that is, 50 to 60 million pounds. That's much more doable. And Arsenal are especially interested. And we have been, we've been scouting him at this point for about 9 months. If he keeps up his performances, his Champions League performances have been excellent. If he keeps these up until the end of the season, I think we could go for him. He'll probably follow Amorim to United. No, I don't think United can do it. They've got no money, and they've also got Rasmus Højlund, Joshua Zirkzee, and they're giving it however much money they're giving to Chido Obi Martin as the next one that's meant to come through. I don't think they can go and do. And also, I don't think if Gyökeres has got the opportunity to move to City, Liverpool, Arsenal, who are all interested in him, he's not going to move to United. I get that Amorim gave him a chance, and I'm sure he's grateful to Amorim for that chance. But mate, if you can go to City or go to Arsenal or go to Liverpool, it's stay in the Champions League. It's a no-brainer. United probably aren't even going to be in Europe next season. And especially at Gyökeres' age, where he's not getting any younger, I don't think he would go there. So that's that one, which, of course, I would be absolutely delighted with. The other one, coming from Alex Crook, is about Carlos Baleba. Carlos Baleba is a long-standing target for Arsenal and Liverpool, whilst Tottenham boss Ange Postecoglou is also understood to be a big admirer. So, yeah, another interesting one. Carlos Baleba. Again, I like him. I made a video on TikTok recently where I went through every Premier League team and named the one player that I would most like to sign from their club. And Brighton's was indeed Carlos Baleba. So another player that I would be happy with. Eddie Howe says Gordon is uncertain for Saturday. Interesting. I think Gordon will be fine. I think that is the same as when Mikel Arteta says that a player is uncertain. And it usually means that they're available. But we'll see. Yeah, if they're without Gordon, that's a big bonus for us. So, not better than Rice, though. Doesn't need to be better than Rice, though. Needs to be better than Jorginho or Thomas Partey. Or, in the case that both of those or one of those leaves, we're going to need a new midfielder. United will totally go for Gyökeres, them trying to bump a lift off Man City plane ride to the Ballon d'Or ceremony. Yeah, exactly. They got no money. There was already a thing today. If they want to sign anyone in January, they have to sell to buy. They are in sell to buy mode. Newcastle United, by the way, also still have massive PSR issues. So if you're looking at Alexander Isak, who is refusing to sign a new deal, Newcastle need money for PSR. So that's one to keep an eye on as well. Newcastle always seem to bring their A game against us. They hate us. Yeah, well, I mean, look, we'll do the Newcastle preview obviously later in the week once we've got rid of the Preston game and stuff. But yeah, they do. For whatever reason, Newcastle really, when they came to the Emirates a couple of years ago and got that 0-0 draw, and they just seemed so up for it. And then obviously we went to their place last season, and they were just, it is. It's like they get so revved up for it, which I don't really understand. But yeah. I'm a bit surprised Thomas Partey's still fit by this time of the season. Happy for Timber and Gabriel news. Yeah. Look, I'm incredibly impressed by Thomas Partey. Incredibly impressed. Did you see how Luke Shaw's injured again? I wonder how his career could have gone without that horrific leg break. Yeah, insane. Insane. For like the third time this season, Luke Shaw has suffered a setback coming back from his injury. It was only a calf injury as well. But yeah, no. So Luke Shaw is, United have huge. That's the other thing, by the way. There are positions that United need to sign players in before they go for a striker. They've got Højlund, they've got Xerxes, they've got Chido Obi Martin coming through. They don't have a left back that can stay fit. Holding midfielders, they signed Ugarte, but everyone thinks he's shit. So yeah, they've got problems. Partey passed all his injuries onto the rest of the squad. Yeah, seems like it. Seems like it. No worries, Max. See you when you arrive back at this point. Luke Shaw's made from glass, pretty much. We'll be happy for Arteta to send on Georgie to go and elbow Bruno in the back of the head. Take the red if we're winning with a few mins. Yeah, he deserves it. Yeah, Malacia's been gone for 2 years. That's the other thing, because apparently Malacia is actually relatively close to making it back. But what's Tyrell Malacia going to look like after virtually 2 years without playing? Newcastle have never forgiven Bergkamp for that goal. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I genuinely don't know what the actual problem with them is. Which teams would you like to come up from the Championship next season? I would like, in terms of like from a neutral perspective of teams that are like big teams that I think should be in the Premier League, Sunderland, Leeds United, and then who would be the third? I mean, I'd love Plymouth Argyle back in the Prem, but I don't think that's going to happen. Back in the Prem, not even sure they've been in the Prem. Who else? I don't know. Who would be the third team? I don't, because there seems like, I'm looking at the table now. I don't want Burnley back. They can sod off. I don't want Sheffield United back. They can sod off. West Brom would be all right. Yeah, other than that, any of the other teams I'd want are going to be nowhere near it, really. So, I mean, Millwall would be fun. But yeah, like Watford. I mean, Blackburn coming back would be quite cool. Watford, I'm not asked. Norwich, I'm not asked. Any of those teams that just yo-yo up and down, really not interested in. Argyle are coming up. Argyle are 1 point away from relegation at this point, so I wouldn't be too sure. Would you take Paul Pogba for free? Nah, absolutely not. Do you think Zinni plays tomorrow? I think he still has a role now that we have Marino for balance on the left. Yeah, I think Zinchenko could play tomorrow. Yeah, I do think Zinchenko could play. Marino could play, actually. Yeah, I didn't even think about the fact that Marino could play, because Marino's someone that we're still trying to get back to match fitness. So maybe Marino's involved. I don't know. It'd be interesting. It'd be interesting. Obviously, the watch along, as it says here, the watch along for the Preston game will be over on Big Up. The link to Big Up is down in the description below. I would love it if as many of you as possible can join the watch along, and we will hopefully enjoy the game together. Obviously, we'll also be keeping an eye on all of the other games, because to be honest, like on paper, we have the most boring game in the Carabao Cup tomorrow. You've got Brighton, Liverpool, good game. Villa Palace, decent game. United against Leicester, hilarious if Leicester win it. Newcastle against Chelsea. Obviously, another thing to keep an eye on there is how strong do Newcastle United go? and do they pick up any injuries? And then Spurs against Man City as well. So yeah, I think that'll be interesting. And we'll keep an eye on those whilst watching the Arsenal game. Arsenal game kicks off at 7:45 UK time. There's a renaissance going on in South America, particularly Brazil and Argentina. We're the only ones not buying from there. Edu is here for what exactly? Where's the renaissance? I'm seeing teams spend lots of money on young Brazilians and Argentinians. I'm yet to see them come to the Premier League and light it up. I mean, Savio has looked all right. Looks a bit like Doku. Outside of that, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. And we're focused on homegrown talent at the moment. So, opinion on Mourinho's performances. I'm saddened when people slated him after like 20 minutes played. Now he has a goal, which is fun. Yeah, look, Mourinho's growing into it. I think Mourinho grew into the Liverpool game in itself. I thought he started off a little bit shaky. But he grew into that game, scored the goal. I think he's going to be a big goal threat for us, you know. I really do. So, yeah, I'm happy with Mourinho so far. And I just think he needs game time. I do think he needs game time. He's really not had an easy game yet. It's crazy that Marcelo Skelly is playing left back in the Premier League at his age, considering he's played midfield his whole youth career. Well, I think that's why Arteta's got so much confidence in him. I really do. That, like, the ease of which Miles Lewis-Skelly has transitioned to playing at left back, he's so comfortable on the ball. There was one moment in the Liverpool game where he picked up the ball in a really awkward position, and he had 3 Liverpool players around him, and he just found his way out of it with an easy pass to Declan Rice. And I'm just like, do you know what? Happy days. Any idea what style Preston play? No, I haven't got a clue what style Preston play. I think I've only seen about half. I think I saw half of one of their games on Sky earlier in the season. I mean, their last game was at the weekend. They were 3-0 up away at Plymouth, and they ended up drawing the game 3-3. Plymouth scored in the 92nd minute. They had less possession than Plymouth in that game. So make of that what you will, I suppose. Against Norwich, they had way less possession against Norwich. Against Coventry, 50-50 possession. Against Burnley, they had 40% possession. So it looks like they don't hold possession much. It looks like they don't hold much possession, to be honest. 100 likes. Well done, guys. Let's keep pushing. 100 likes. I appreciate you all. The likes do genuinely help the videos get further, so I am grateful for it. Riot Hospital passed him with 3 players around him at the edge of the box. Was incredible composure. Yeah, exactly. Last player to play left back at Arsenal at 17 and 18 years old was Ashley Cole. Yeah, I'm serious. The guy is a talent. The guy is a talent. So yeah, hopefully he'll play tomorrow night. But then there's the question, and this is how mental it is, right? You've then genuinely got the question of, do you protect Miles Lewis-Skelly to play the Premier League games, and do you actually play Zinchenko because it's not so important if Zinchenko gets injured tomorrow night? How crazy is it that that's even where the conversation now is? But it is there, because I actually think I'd be gutted if Miles Lewis-Skelly got injured playing tomorrow night, which is crazy. Do you think we extend Partey's contract? I think if we do, it'll be very late. I think if we extend his contract, it'll be a very late call. There's no way the club are just going to have forgotten the injury problems that Partey has had. I think they'll wait as long as they can to see if those injury problems come back again. But yeah, you could give him, based on the way that Thomas Partey is currently playing, and based on how little money we would probably get for him if we were to, well, he could end up going on free, but based on the fact that we probably wouldn't get any money if we sold him in January, like, you could give him another 2-year deal. If he was able to sustain the way that he's currently playing, you could give him another 2-year deal, and he'd become more like a Jorginho within the squad in terms of how much we needed to use him. But yeah, the way he's playing right now, it's a valuable player. It's weird with Zinni. He played most of pre-season and started the first game and looked fine, and now he's last on the list for defenders. I wonder if something has happened behind the scenes. I don't know if anything did happen behind the scenes. I think the injury problems is something that's annoyed Arteta again. I think Arteta really feels like he just can't rely on him, which is a problem. Is there any possibility Gyökeres leaves in January? Not according to Plettigol. Plettigol said it's very unlikely that he'll leave in January, but very likely that he will leave in the summer, and that there is basically an agreement there that Gyökeres can leave for 60 to 70 million euros if he leaves next summer. So I think that's more than likely. People hating on us not buying young talent abroad, but if we buy young talent abroad, people moan that we don't develop pale enders. Yeah, exactly. You got if we went and bought, whoever, and then they're getting minutes instead of Waneri, it's like, well, what was the point developing Waneri? So, yeah, you're completely correct. Zinni is more of a dressing room player, I think. I don't think we need them anymore. To be honest, I said this last season actually, but I'll say it again. I think we don't need dressing room players. Like Jorginho is the only one that I think is so valuable that it's worth having him this season because he is literally like a coach on the touchline. But outside of that, so many of our actual top quality players are leaders and are dressing room players already. Saka, Odegaard, Rice, Timber, Gabriel, etc., except Ben White. Like, there are so many of those players that are both dressing room players and top quality players. I don't think you need passengers because they're good in the dressing room at this point. What you need, and this is what Zinchenko isn't and what Tomiyasu isn't, what you need is reliable players. You need reliable, plug-and-play, high-level players to come off the bench. I said we shouldn't get rid of El Neni because of what he brings to the dressing room. I was wrong. It was time to go. Yeah. I think that's the point we're at. Previously, when we didn't have many of the Rices and Odegaards of the world in the team, I would have actually agreed. But these days, I just think it's a bit unnecessary. I'm in the minority, but hope Jesus can score a few tomorrow. We still need him this season. Our attack is thin. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like the Jesus performing well for Arsenal is a win-win. If Jesus is performing well, it's good for Arsenal anyway, because one of your players is performing well. But also, if the plan is to go and sell him, the better he's doing and the more he's playing, the more we can sell him for. It's something that Arteta, for me, hasn't been brilliant at previously, is giving game time to players that we're going to sell, because then you can't get much money for them. We did well to get as much as we got for Smith Rowe and Eddie Nketiah last summer because we'd been playing them. Kept Reece. Yeah, probably kept Reece too long, yeah. Why do you think Cozy Adubri went to Brighton just to get loaned out to Blackburn? Shouldn't he have stayed, or didn't we want him? Well, there was the one big issue with Cozy Adubri was that he went to Brighton effectively with the promise that he was going to be developed within the Brighton first team. So he went there believing that he was going to be in and around the first team squad at Brighton. They then almost immediately went and bought Minter from Newcastle. Now, maybe Brighton had no intention of buying Minter, but because of the PSR issues, it just became something that they could do, and it was an opportunity that they couldn't turn down, right? Maybe they really did have every intention of developing Cozy Adubri at the club when he went. But that's not what's happened. And you're right. Cozy Adubri could have stayed at Arsenal, signed a contract with Arsenal, and gone out on loan to Blackburn, which is probably something that we would have done. So, yeah, it's unfortunate. But it's basically exactly what happened to Amari Hutchinson when he went to Chelsea. Went to Chelsea with the promise that he would be, in and around the first team and the development path was better, and then he got loaned out to Ipswich. I was gutted that Jesus Thunderstrike didn't go in against Poole. Yeah, that would have been some way to break his goal drought. It really would. It really would. One, don't bench Rice. Two, as a Swede, Hugo Larsson is good, but he doesn't replace Rice or emulate Busquets at 20 years old. Don't really know who he is, to be fair. Cozy Adubri basically went full gullible and messed up his starting point of his career. Yep. Happens all the time. It happens all the time. But also, these players, and they are kids, right? They are kids. I couldn't have made these decisions when I was a 17-year-old. Yeah. They have agents who, in my opinion, are bad actors. I really think there are a lot of agents of young players that are bad actors, because when they get a move, the agent gets a cut. When Cozy Adubri goes and signs for Brighton after his agents pimped him out there, His agent makes money off it. Same with Chido Obi Martin's agents. And they want to make money. And I really do think there's a big issue in football where these kids are not given the right advice. They're not advised to do the thing that is best for their career because their agents want the thing that's going to make them the most money right now. Do you know why? Because for the agent, it doesn't fucking matter what happens to Cozy Adubri. Yeah, all right, if Cozy Adubri goes on to have a great career and makes some big transfers and that agent is still his agent, he'll do well out of it. But if he doesn't, that agent will just pick up more 15, 16, 17-year-olds and do the same thing again. So it's a big problem. Adam, welcome back. Haven't been here in like 6 months. That's another person that's not been here in months. Everyone abandoned ship. That's all right. That's all right. You abandoned ship. It's good to have you back. No, it's good to have you back. Welcome back. There's over 300 of you, which is, we haven't hit 300 in a while, so I appreciate that. If you've not already subscribed, we're on the way to 12,800 subscribers, and we're pretty close. So if you're not subscribing at this point, you know, that's just think about my mental health. That's what I'd say. Thoughts on Ruben Amorim as manager and current United players that fit? Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's an interesting one. Obviously, I like him. I'm a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of the way Sporting play. I think he's done a very good job with Sporting. They play a 3-4-3. Are Man United going to play a 3-4-3? Don't know. They could do. I think United have the defenders to play a 3-4-3. So they could do that, maybe, if you were playing wing-backs. Do they have the midfielders to play the roles that the two central midfielders typically do for Sporting? Not sure. Kobbie Mainoo could do it. Not sure there's anyone else that can. And then a front three. Yeah, they've probably got the players. Will Ruben Amorim's style suit the Premier League? Again, not sure. In terms of taking Man United right back to the very top, not sure. They're very direct. Sporting are very direct. Difficult to do that against Premier League teams. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Does it make Gyökeres easier? Yes. Yes. Lewis Skelly shouldn't start tomorrow at all. It's a reasonable point. It's a reasonable point. Anyway, it is now time for Guess the Goal Scorer. I'm going to give you all of the information about an Arsenal goal. You have to guess who the goal scorer was and who the team was against in the chat. First person to get it right wins the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. To get your fingers on your keyboards because we're starting now. This goal was scored with the right foot. This goal was scored with the right foot. It was assisted by Kai Havertz. It was assisted by Kai Havertz. It was in the 20th minute. It was in the 20th minute. It was at Old Trafford. It was at Old Trafford. It was in a 1-0 win. It was in a 1-0 win in May 2024. So a right-footed goal assisted by Kai Havertz in the 20th minute at Old Trafford in a 1-0 win in May this year. And of course, the answer is Leandro Trossard. Trossard again. Trossard again. Trossard again. Ole, ole. And the first person to get it correct was Ross Lawman. It was Ross Lawman that was first. Congratulations to Ross. Jakob was second. TB was third. Jonathan was fourth. And Tamelore was fifth. So there you go. Congratulations to Ross Lawman. It was indeed Trossard against Man United. One of those goals that's like weirdly forgettable. Oh, wait. Ethan was first. Ross Lawman's called VAR on himself. You're right. It's because he put Leo. It's because he put Leo. I apologize. Goal ruled out for Ross Lawman. Goal given, Ethan Udall. Ethan, I apologize. It was because I was looking for the word Trossard and you put Leo. It threw me off the scent. Congrats. Do you know what? You've got to give credit here. You've got to give credit here to Ross Lawman, who was basically the first person to actually call VAR on himself. That is top 10 respect moments That is top 10 respect moments on the Rory Talks Football channel. Credit to him. Credit to him indeed. It is now time for Guess the Non-Gooner. I'm going to give you the entire career path of a player who does not and has not played for Arsenal, and you have to guess who that player is in the chat. First, just to get it right with the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community, but not as much respect as Ethan Udall and Ross Lawman currently have. Wouldn't expect that from Gillett on VAR. No, exactly. Exactly. This player started their career at the Barcelona Youth Academy. They started their career at the Barcelona Youth Academy. They went to Chelsea. They went to Roma. And they went to Lazio. Barca, Chelsea, Roma, Lazio. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Plenty of you are getting it correct. The first person to get it correct was... It was Carl. It was indeed Pedro. Carl was first. Nid was second. Dua Lipa was third. Ethan Udall was fourth. And Oslo Gunnar was fifth. So there you go. Congratulations. It was indeed Pedro. Fantastic. Fantastic stream. Fantastic winners. We will be live on Twitch tonight. I'm still trying to sort out the issues with COD, so it could be a FIFA stream again. We'll wait and see. And then, of course, we'll be live tomorrow over on Big Up. Link down in the description for both of those. For the Preston watch-along, which will be interesting. Really, I think the team news is going to be very interesting for that one. But look, like I said, I appreciate you all for watching. If you could like and subscribe before you jump off, that would be fantastic. Other than that, I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic evening, and I will see you all later tonight or tomorrow. Goodbye.